conversation is really giving two-parent home. I love this for y'all. Really is.
Damn.
All right, so hi, welcome to the podcast. Today we have Elliot, Rem, Danielle. They're my homies. Like we there is no direction for this pod today. We're just gonna sort of like vibe out. And probably like vibe out a little too much. I didn't think of anything to talk about. So
you know, I was gonna ask, and then I said, no.
Yeah, I know, but just vibes, just vibes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess we can start like what was your religious upbringing, spiritual upbringing? Because we all know it's Adventism, but like spiritually, like how do you feel your upbringing was, and how do you really feel like that's informed your life?
That's a very heavy question, Jordan.
Yeah, welcome to the pod, girl.
I'll let y'all handle this.
Oh, I thought you were the guy.
I also thought you were
It
gonna
did
go.
seem like I was.
Yeah, you started with everything, girl.
I decided no.
I felt like it was very constricted.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't feel like I had much room to grow because it was just a clamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think anytime you mix religion and spirituality, you kind of constrain yourself to some degree. You know, I don't think there was much room for like, what exists outside of what this sermon is saying to me, you know, like, or what this religion is saying to me. Us being Adventist, pretty narrow-minded in a lot of ways, so I felt like I didn't really have much room to grow, and not much room to really have my own thoughts either, because it was told, you know, what you're to believe.
Yeah,
right? You know?
I definitely did feel that growing up. I feel like, and I've said it like a billion times, is that like that thing of when I would ask questions, I would be doubting God. But it's like, this actually just doesn't make any sense to me. So like, what do you mean? Like, if God is not a God of chaos and confusion, then you should have the answers to my questions. So that's kind of how I felt about it. Elliot, I'm gonna go ahead and pass that question over to you.
I mean, I feel like I definitely felt restricted. I have to say, like, I was like super involved in my own religious upbringing. Like, I got baptized. I wouldn't say like early for some people. How old were you? I was like 7 3/4.
Yeah, that's okay. So me,
God.
I was like, I just turned 8.
I thought I was
when I
young.
got
I was
baptized.
11.
That's
I was 10. I thought
my
I
girl,
was
you
as
were the
well.
Bible study.
I did like
Baptism
30. Yeah, I did 36 weeks of the 52-week thing that you do before you get baptized.
Oh my gosh, at 7.5.
Yeah.
7 3/4.
I find that so inappropriate.
Yeah.
I'm just.
We
don't know anything.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know, like,
what are we committing to? You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like.
I lived in the country, so like, you know what I mean? Like when I got baptized when I lived on the Eastern Shore, so like, you know, Salisbury, Maryland, like it's pretty country out there. So the church was small, and like I was not the youngest person in the church. Like people who were younger than me were like considering getting baptized or got baptized.
Really?
So I was like, okay, like
You felt it was
I
your
don't want to like wait until the adults are like saying, so when are you gonna get baptized? Like, are you thinking about getting baptized? So I was like, you know, like, let me like see about this. So I think somebody young got baptized, and then my dad was just asking me like, you know, like, so what have you thought? And I'm like, you know, I think I would maybe do it. And he's like, so if you want to do it, you have to, there's like this
thing.
Bible study thing you have to do like week by week, and like I won't go through it with you.
Yeah.
Like you have to read through it on your own, and like I'll go over the answers with you, but I'm not gonna like read it through with you.
Yeah.
Because you have to know, like, they're like, being able to do this, committing to do this will be an indication of whether you can really like, you know, whether you want to do this.
How long have you been reading at that time?
Like in general, like for like a lot of years at that point.
Yeah, okay. Because if you're 7 3/4, like
I was on like my 3rd Bible at that point. Like it's not like
That's so different. But your dad was a pastor, right?
Yeah, you know, my father was a minister, so I was on like my 3rd Bible. So I was like involved. So it didn't always feel restricted because I got baptized when I was like 7.5, and it was like a decision that I initiated, but restrictive in the sense that like so much it was like so much that I knew I was either like shutting myself off from, or like shutting myself away from when I would be like, okay, like I've made this decision to be Christian when I was 7 3/4, and like I must continue to like bear the mantle. You know, like that day I was driving home, like I'm like, oh shoot, like so now I'm responsible for these sins. You know, like
yes,
I'm not responsible for these sins.
So like
you know
after I got baptized at 10 years old, I got baptized at school, at Fleece.
Interesting.
And so they had like a little pool. I had the shower cap, like the pool cap on my head. Apparently, it doesn't keep your hair dry. It just makes you more aerodynamic in the water. It doesn't keep your hair dry. Because my hair was straight and it wasn't after I took the cap off. Anyway, so I just remember being on the playground with my friend and like getting mad at her and being like, oh, this is a sin. Like all of my other sins have already been cleansed. This is a new sin that now has to be like cleansed away, and I was so stressed out about that. And to your point, I do think it's kind of inappropriate to like put a child through that kind of, it's a heavy decision. Whether you're in support of baptism, whether you're not in support of baptism, it is a heavy decision, and I think it's a decision that shouldn't be taken lightly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a supporter of making informed decisions.
Yeah.
Right? So like for me, I remember like it being an early representation of peer pressure. Because like what you were speaking to, where you were saying like, oh, there were younger kids.
It was only a few of us.
Right.
It was only a
And
few
you be putting it down.
Exactly. The moment I am the last one standing, it's like, oh, so you're a heathen. You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
And on top of that, with speaking to the inappropriateness of it, I was like, I got money after I got baptized. I got money from church members. Like I got gifts from church members. It's literally conditioning me. Okay, I do this, I get this. But yet we're taught, you know, faith not works. You know, like, but it's so contradictory.
But it's giving works.
It's
right.
giving
You know what I'm saying? So,
it's the way you thought you avoided the question.
My girl.
Thought I wasn't going to circle back around.
The question was what?
The question was, how do you feel like your spirituality was growing up? Spirituality, not religion. How do you think that that's informed how you are now spiritually?
Okay, so I was just talking to my sister about this morning.
Yeah.
We feel as though, you know, growing up, we were our parents are Adventists, and Adventists are very, I don't want to say judgmental, but can be very judgmental. Oh, look at this person not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Look at them, look at that. And my family was so big on that for me, it really instilled a different type of perfectionism, right? So I'm on my P's and Q's because I don't want my parents talking about me, like how they're talking about these people.
Yeah.
And so for me, I mean, I don't know if it's spiritual. It seeps into a lot of things because my faith became very performative and everything just became so like, I have to do what I'm supposed to do in order to get the results. And like, that has conditioned me to live a very hectic life. You know what I mean? Like a very...
Because it's not always like that in adulthood. It's
not like that in life, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The performativeness of everything. It's just not, it's not realistic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, and then even back to like the baptism thing and like the peer pressure, like camp was so different. Like Camp Kalakwa?
Oh, Camp
Kalakwa. I would go to camp every single summer. Adventist camp every single summer. And like you had to, you know, do the altar call. You had to go. You had to get baptized. You get baptized last year. This year, like what was it? You know, you wrote down like, have I been baptized? You know, like you fill out the little cards and like like they really go through and do all of that, and that's really a lot. And so it was one summer. My sister, she wanted to get baptized, and I'm like 2.5 years younger than her, but I was 7.5, about to be 8, and like my parents were like, let's just do it at the same time, knock them out.
Not knock them out.
And it was this whole thing. We had the bulletin. I'm sure my parents still have the bulletin saved. Like Danielle and Rochelle Clark getting baptized.
Framed it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I remember I just like pulled out all my teeth. I was 8 years old. I was concerned about pulling out my teeth more than the baptism. Like, it was actually insane. So
those camps were something else because like I think even as a young teenager, like I remember even if you weren't like heavily like religious, you go to one of those camps, you're lit on fire. Yeah. Like I might be a minister after this. If you catch me, if you ask me in that moment, I'm gonna commit to something that I don't need to commit to. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just like, what was going on there? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm gonna be the choir director, knowing I'm tone deaf.
I used to feel so guilty. Like,
oh man! And then you go home and
that altar call, it's like everyone's singing. I'm seeing people go up. I'm like, man, I can tell you no word of a lie. Once I got baptized, between baptism and probably like 21, every single altar call, I think to myself, because I remember early on after I got baptized, like I witnessed an altar call where someone was like, you never know, this could be like you reject this call and you may never feel it again and you may never get another chance. So I sit there every time the altar call comes up.
My heart.
Every time the altar comes up, I'm like, am I closing my heart? I see them going up. I've sinned. I know I've sinned. I could go up for something. And I know I've sinned.
Yes.
But I'm not going up because like sometimes I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. But even when I did feel it, it would always just really be like, the only times when I went up was really just an extra immense amount of guilt. Like I felt that same thing I felt every time, knowing like, could this be the last time? Or could I be like not repenting or not like making the call? Like I think very much spirituality for me growing up was about like the timing or like squaring it. Like I knew I was committing sins, so I was getting not more involved in church to like cover that, not to like hide. I always knew that like I'm committing sins. People don't always know.
Yeah.
But like I'm like,
You were very
if I commit these sins, I repent, and then I'm like working, like I'm doing the work. I'm like helping spread the gospel. I'm whatever I think is like right.
Yeah.
On the other side of it to like aid, like hopefully you see, you know my heart. I know you know my heart because I know my heart, and I'm like, bro, I'm out here, I'm sinning, or I have these sinful thoughts, or like I'm just thinking something, I'm questioning it, or I don't understand, or it doesn't make sense to me. So like, all right, like let's make sure we, like play the piano right, or I'm gonna say this prayer in front of church, and I'm saying it, and I'm like, well, this is crazy because they don't even know I be sinning. Like they don't even know I'm up here a sinner. I'm swearing it, God. But like if they knew, like because I just always felt like once you made that decision to commit your life, like and you got baptized, people were looking at you as a child like, are you growing into a sinner or are you growing into like a saint? And I'm like, well, I'm sinning. I don't know what y'all are doing, but like I don't know how y'all are squaring this because I'm feeling like sinner. I'm not feeling that saint stuff because it's like I just know I'm sinning and I know I'm responsible for all of these. Like I don't really repent every single time I feel like I fall short. I try to, or maybe I forget, or maybe it's something I don't think is that wrong, but then I feel it's wrong later. So it would be chaotic to me on that note. Like
sorry, Roman.
No, you're good. I was confused, in those moments. You speak to guilt. It was half guilt to me, and half like I'm an empath and I'm feeling all this energy.
Yes,
and
it was the energy for me.
And I'm just being consumed by this. So I feel like I'm denying myself by not giving into this when it's not for the reasons they're calling us for. It's because it's who I am.
I remember that a lot. Wow, because even in college, bro.
Especially in college.
Oh my God.
Okay, and so it wasn't more so like, oh, I feel so heavily burdened by these sins. It was like,
there's so much wrong emotion.
It's just really tugging at my heart, like the energy in the air for me. The only reason that I didn't go to the altar calls, honestly, was because they would like take them to the back and be like, oh, are you trying to sign up for baptism or whatever?
Exactly.
And I just never wanted to. I just never wanted to be. I want to go to the altar. I want to confess my sins to God. I want to go home to my mom. She made lasagna. Let's go.
And I was already about 3:00.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just really not even trying to stay any longer. But for me, it was like AY was really a big one where I felt the energy and I was there crying and like just crying out to God, and then I would just leave and like I would be putting Honey Jack in my Sonic drinks like after AY. So
that's why I think we stop it at the
chaotic. It can get chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can go chill Friday night in the crib.
Absolutely. And it just wasn't, to me, it just felt really disingenuous.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know where to like put all those feelings.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day they weren't real, I guess. I don't know if that's like the right way to describe it, but it just wasn't, like you're saying, it was like I felt the energy of other people. It was like the energy of the moment, and whether or not I felt it in my heart. I mean, I thought I felt it in my heart at that time.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. That was something difficult for me. But the second part of the question, how do you think that's informed your spirituality now?
Right.
These days.
So I feel like, and I try to grow every day. Not really. I try to grow every year.
Okay.
Like in my spirituality.
It's
I think it's
realistic,
what Jenny used to say every day. I'm here sometimes, sometimes I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, and I say that as somebody who does love Christ, but we all fall short. But I say that to say, like, growing up, I had this consciousness where I felt like I've always heard that if you turn the Holy Spirit away a certain amount of times, you won't hear him anymore.
He's not going to ask again, yeah.
So in my mind, right or, like, I can't even say right or wrong, but either way, my rationale was, I just need to keep him there enough so that he doesn't leave me forever.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm sinning. I know I'm doing this, but I do love you, God. I do love you, but I'm going to keep doing this other stuff. I can't lie to you.
Yeah.
So don't leave me completely, but I just needed that little leash, like where I was like, okay, as long as I'm not gone, forgotten, where I push him away forever. You know, to be honest with you, when we do communion and stuff like that, and they talk about like, you know, Christ dying for us, I was like, if I don't feel any emotion, I know I'm gone.
Yeah.
But I still felt it. I could still like, you know, empathize and feel the emotion involved with him dying for us and stuff like that. That was how I measured my like connection.
Yeah.
You know.
You're speaking in the past tense though. So what is it like for you now? Like today, like Tuesday, July 5th.
Is that today?
It is, yeah.
You know, I feel like you know, I'm still not, you know, no one's a perfect human being, but I recognize that I have a savior personally, and I consider that Christ. I just don't think that I need to pressure anyone else to feel the same way. Like that's kind of like where I've evolved was I don't concern myself with anybody else's journey other than my own, because everybody's different. And I think it'd be wrong to think it's a one size fits all thing.
Yeah, it's really,
you know
it's
I mean?
very very much
very
personal.
very personal, right?
Yeah. You over here.
Okay, so how has
how has it informed you spiritually? Like your spiritual upbringing, how has it informed your spirituality today?
I think I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
But I think what it has taught me and what, you know, I'm trying to, I guess, unlearn is that perfectionism, right? Like that there is no one perfect way to serve God or to have a relationship with God. So really releasing that and trying to figure out, okay, what works for me to deepen my faith and to deepen that connection with God. That's really just like the path and journey that I'm on right now.
Yeah.
So that's where it's been able to like, I guess, open up my mind in a sense of like, don't be so close-minded, and you, like you said, it's not a one-size-fit-all. You know what I mean? Like things you can take from every other religion, every other spiritual practice, whatever it may be, because I feel like that's how it was intended. Like me as an American is not gonna have the same experience as someone in Thailand. You know what I'm saying? So why would the religion be the same? One application. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
No one even learns the same. We all have different attachment styles. We have all different, you know, learning styles. So why would there be one way to access God? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I take that and I, you know, I'm still figuring it out, but that's where I'm at. That's what it's taught me.
Yeah. I think for me, I really, because it's really unfair for me to ask you guys questions and not answer them. But I just really feel like I really have taken gratitude, I think, with me. I feel like that was really something. It's like, oh, make sure you give God thanks for your food and thank him for waking you up this morning and thank him for this and thank him for that. I literally have something that reminds me to be grateful tattooed on my body. It's facing me. Like, and I just even, I don't know, this is so like interesting to really think of it as a spiritual practice, but for me it is. Like when Sunday comes around and it's time to clean my house and like, just really like, for me, that's like being grateful for the things that God has given me, right? Because I live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath alone. Like I can afford. Well, I live with other people. It's a whole bunch of people in here. Don't. But like for real, like I'm able to afford the things that I need to afford, and I'm so grateful for that. So what I am gonna do is express that gratitude by taking care of the things that God has given me. And that's kind of just like where I'm at with it. I put extra time into my friendships because I've just met some people who were just not,
Yeah.
not people who needed to be in my life. I'm not even going to speak down on them because like that just was what it was. It's a lesson. So I put energy and love into the friendships that I have now, into the relationships that I have. Like, I know that a lot of people aren't close with their parents, but me and my mom, I be calling her every day. That's my homegirl for real. Because I'm just so grateful for these things. Like, and I feel like when I really move with an attitude of gratitude, I really be feeling like blessed. And so whatever that looks like in terms of my religion, I really haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
But spiritually, for me, it's like taking care of my things, taking care of the things that God's given me, which is also myself, right? Like God has given me this body. So for me, I'm like, that's why everybody was here. I was in the gym. Like I was leaving the gym because it's just like, it's important for me to take care of the things that I was given so that, I just can keep them longer, gain more blessings, like, and not even on some like, I'm just trying to collect all the coins. Like this is a video game and I want all the points, but just like genuine gratitude. I don't know. It feels good. It feels good to lead with gratitude and things. So yeah.
Well, I'd say for me, kind of to bring up what like a bit of what all three of you have brought up. For me, like because part of it was so personal, or I like made it personal. Like I've kept it between me. Like I feel like I've kind of had like an internal religious dialogue running, driving back from that river. You know what I mean? Like I've just been there. Part of it is so personal to me, and I've like taken it on. So while I don't find myself like nearly as necessarily like squarely in like the Adventist church or squarely like devoutly always at church, for me like you said, with like gratitude, with like friends, like I couldn't, as I grew, really like grow to accept like a religious or spiritual journey that to me is like so focused on like maybe the church part of it, or like the even the sinning that I'm like doing a whole bunch in my head about. Not really that, but like everything, like okay, like am I able to like be positive? Am I able to like maintain good friendships? Am I able to like build community? I felt like a lot of what I even studied made me feel like what I'm maybe getting and what I feel like I go to when I'm like, okay, let me study the Bible, let me like read about this church or that church or this community or that community. I feel like it's not, I don't see myself involved in the same sort of thing that I like feel like the Bible like talks about. Like I feel like we've crystallized these like hard and fast organizations, which I don't have a problem with, but I feel like the community part of it is like casual. The family part of it is casual. The fellowship part of it is casual. Honestly, I even really feel like the actual salvation, like, you know what I mean? Like the conscious salvation part of it gets casual, but it's like, okay, like, are you going to show up? Am I going to see you next Sabbath at 9 or at 11 or at 11:30? What does that mean about you? What are you wearing? Did you teach a class? You know what I mean? Like, how many people do you look squarely in the eye when you come in here? How ashamed have you gotten of yourself? You know, and it's like, I don't know, like that to me.
I feel like Danielle was talking about, like performance based. Like,
Oh, and I was so good at it. Everybody at church loved me. I was, hey, Sister Claire Connor. Yep, that's me. In the audiovisual department, doing Sabbath school, doing praise team, doing it all. Yeah. Welcome for the church that morning and Sabbath. And what is it? The little story, children's story
For sure. Preaching, all of that.
It's giving all around.
Yeah.
Very diverse.
Pathfinders and all that stuff.
Right.
It's my mom could never get me to be a pathfinder.
I didn't
never.
I was in
during
prayer. I was like, I was cussing at her, and never went back to her.
I was doing adventures for a really long time because I think for me, my mom just wanted me to have like more Adventist friends, and like because I'm an only child. Yeah. So like she just.
That's where I met this guy.
More
it was to have more Adventist friends, like.
Yeah, and so like because you were homeschooled.
Yeah. Until like freshman year of high school,
Yeah, so church was really your outlet.
It was
for real.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I got this big tent for some camp thing that we did. And they were like, oh, people can stay in your tent. It's like a 9-person tent. Make friends. I don't want to do it. I don't want to make friends. I didn't like anybody's energy. I was very, I don't like people. And yeah, really. And so my mom just never made me go back. Like that's something that I really appreciate about her. Like she really did want me to be involved.
Yeah.
But if it was something that I'm like, girl, no. Like I tried it. No.
She respected
that, and I really do. I think that's why I've been able to be so, just been able to like explore my spirituality a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, don't get me wrong, it definitely was a more conservative household, but I think because in everything else, I mean, it was just me and my mom, so we were making decisions together. Like it was never like, and I mean, it was when it had to be like, oh, well, you're gonna do this because I said so.
Yeah.
But like, it was very collaborative. Oh, what do you want to eat for dinner? Or like, what's going on at school? Like, let's talk about our lives. And she would tell me about her life. So like, for me, I feel like the freedom in growing up aided in like me being more expressive in my spirituality. But it was hard at first. It was. Yeah. Because of like the guilt that you were talking about, where I'm just like, oh man, I'm sinning big time. Like, because now I'm making the choice to sin.
Right.
Like on purpose.
Yeah, choice on purpose.
Yeah, and so it was just like a lot. And to be clear, like the sins were never like anything crazy to me. It was just like not going to church or not reading my Bible and like.
Yeah, the simple.
Who said that was a sin? Where in the 10 Commandments is that a sin?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, it was a real different type of timing. I don't know.
And another huge reason, back to the baptism thing, all the important sins, big sins, are after that age. I mean, I didn't, at 11 years old, I've not been tempted.
Yeah, no.
Anything.
I'm not calling anyone's husband.
No.
Like, that was a fear of mine as well. Right after I got baptized, I said, man, I ain't even lived life. Like, I guess at 7, I'm gonna have to start building. Like,
but I think that added to the pressure of it too, right? Like you made this commitment before you even knew what was up. Like that's a lot.
Before you could know what was up.
Right, before you could even know.
Yeah.
So like
at that age, I can either be the greatest Christian of all time.
Yeah, and that was what I was planning.
Or it's downhill from here.
Yeah, and it literally was downhill.
Yeah.
But it was like setting us up for failure because
nobody can do it.
Yeah, nobody can live up to that.
No.
I think it's really interesting to ask us to make a choice that we're not really fully informed of, to be like Christ. Like it's Christ-like to do that. But like in the Bible, Jesus knew what he was doing.
And he was like 30.
Yeah.
A grown man.
Like, but also like when he came to earth, like that was a choice. And I feel like taking that choice away, it's just very interesting. I like don't want to dwell on that too long. I feel like I've really become the AntiAdventist podcast. And that's not even where I live. Like that's not even like what I'm trying to be. Yeah. But it just really is a lot of things.
I think it's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's just a lot of things that you just grow up with, and you get older and you just notice like, didn't really like that.
And you know, it was so interesting to me, like growing up and seeing older people like not be in the church or whatever. I remember my uncle specifically asking me and my sister in the McDonald's parking lot, "You think you're gonna be Adventist forever?" Because my mom was the one who brought the faith to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't even her parents. Like she brought it to her parents and everything. Because in Jamaica, Adventism is big.
Yeah.
It's like the number one religion.
Yeah. It's like number 1 and number 2.
Number 2, or number 2. So it's like an Adventist church on every corner, basically.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, yeah, you know, so my mom is how she is. She's the super conservative one, and my uncle is too chill. He's so cool, like, and we would go there for summers in Miami, and you know, he's letting us watch BET, eat beef and things. Like, oh my gosh, we were just breaking all the rules. And so I remember him asking me, and I was like, no, like I'm gonna be an Adventist. Like I don't know what you're talking about. Like my whole life, like this is who I am. This is what I'm gonna do.
And
it's so easily how it just did it.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't wake up one day and choose not to be an Adventist, and not, you know, not even saying that's what it is, but it's just like, yeah, no, it's not who I was back when I was, you know, in 12th grade, 11th grade, you know, whatever, growing up in my parents' house. Like I do not practice that same faith. So I never thought I would get to here and be like this.
How do you feel like it's like what you practice now, what you believe in? Do you feel like it's less valid than your parents because they were like so?
No, I feel like it's more personal because now my connection with God is real. I be like, Lord Jesus, like literally me and him, like seriously.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, Okay, I need to make sure I read these 4 passages. I need to read this devotional book, this section in the lessons, study to make sure that I'm prepared to answer the questions on Sabbath morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, it was just so very performative, whereas now it's like I'm really coming to God because I want that connection and I want to, speak to my Father.
Yeah,
but for real, you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
So,
I just do feel like that's important when we really can just take a step back and like really get to the nitty gritty, because I mean, even growing up in the church, none of that stuff that we were doing is gonna save you. And they tell you all the time, this ain't gonna save you. Like, it's just not.
It's really funny.
It's just not, but it's just really the relationship. I think for me, the most interesting part is now that I'm really focused, like, more on a relationship that feels genuine to me.
Yeah.
I'm like getting like backlash from Adventists in my family who are like, maybe they don't understand, maybe they disagree, but like for me it's a more like genuine, personal, try not to say like again. But it just really is, it's more genuine, it's more personal, it's like really I'm gonna stop talking now. Somebody else talk.
No, but I get what you're saying. I don't know. So does that fear of like the backlash hinder your relationship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, it does, because there are some things that I feel like there are other tools than the Bible to really connect with God. Because for me, God isn't just the God of the Bible. I feel like that's really, we're saying not to box God in. Yeah. And yet the Bible to me is a box. Correct. That you're putting God in. I think that there are other tools to really speak to God, to hear God, to understand who God is. But I'm scared to like utilize those tools. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm just like, well, what will my family think? Or like I've demonized those things in my own mind. Yeah. And it's like demonization. Yeah, and it's like I do have to live for myself, but it's also like 19 years of conditioning just doesn't go away. Like it just doesn't. Yeah. So yeah, so for me as well, like with the conditioning, I think I do struggle with there. That's why I'm so like unsure, because I'm like, okay, like I'm trying to make sure I'm still doing it right? Yeah, like exactly. Yeah. Even though I'm trying to let go and I'm trying to unlearn, like I'm still
not go too far.
Because I be coming back from the club, like, what if God just broke through the clouds of glory right now? Is he really? Does he know my name?
No, what's crazy is in those moments, I'm like, he wouldn't do me like that.
That's what I'm saying. I've had some moments where I'm like, God, go ahead, burst some praise. I'm good. I'm going to heaven today. If it's today, he's going to know my name. That ain't the question.
No, but I feel you on that. Like, I wouldn't do me like that.
He wouldn't. Like, no.
Not on my worst day, when I'm down and out.
Oh, or even like so young. Like, do you guys ever think about like when we were younger? Like, obviously, and like, I don't know. Like now as an adult, like, and as someone who like, I mean, I've read the Bible like probably like easily upwards of 50 to 100 times, like cover to cover.
I want you to know that's not normal.
I mean, like, well, for me, like, that's like my religious journey. Like, I don't, like, it's hard for me to be like, okay, so like, I'm gonna go out and like tell this person everything in your life could be like changed with this book, with this religion. Yeah. But then in my heart, I can't actually like, I can't give you so like, if you're like, oh, well, today I'm discouraged, or I'm this or I'm that. I'm not even like I can pull a verse out type of person, but like to me, I read the Bible enough times that I'm just easily comfortable to pop it open if I want to find something, or if I'm unsure about something. Like I read the Bible. I read the Bible a lot of those times because I just want to understand. Like, okay, like if you're telling me this verse says this, and like this is the narrative of Genesis, or this is the narrative of Job. Like, I get the sermon and I even get the verses, but then when I read like all 7 of those chapters and I'm thinking about it after, and I'm like, okay, I've read these words like time and time again, and I've read the commentaries, like it's just not, I don't know, so much to me about what made that not hard is like, it's not that I think everybody should do it, it's just that I'm like, this is my thing, like I am religious. I follow the Bible. Like Adventist people are like big Bible thumpers, big like heavy on the Bible first, and that like to me, okay, so I'm reading it, like I'm reading through it, I'm getting it, I'm learning, so that like it wasn't hard for me, like everything that I could feel a conviction for, I could feel like, okay, like if I disagree with people on this, well, I'm gonna go in my Bible and I'm gonna read, and if I don't get it from the verse, I'm gonna go to some commentaries and I'm gonna see what other theologians say, and I'm gonna get it. Like I don't just want to get it, and because you're like reading that stuff growing up, and then people will, oh well, this verse means this and this verse means this, and like use that stuff to like guide you. Well, like yeah, I'm reading that stuff too. So like when we're arguing, oh, tattoos are like this, and then I'm like, well, yeah, like I do get you, but the verse just is not talking about that. You know what I mean? Like, like you know what I mean? Like simply like 1,000 people who have like PhDs in religion are literally telling you guys that the verse don't say that, but we're in church like the verse say that, and I'm like, how is this a religion that it's not like, oh, I can't jive with this religion? It's just like, well, I can't run my religion this way where I feel like I'm believing these things and I have them in my heart, and I go tell somebody, or I'm you know, and then a simple opening up just exposes me as not even like knowing the truth. So it's like that's hard. I don't want that for other people, and I don't want that for myself. Like on my conscience, I'm telling these people, oh, this is how you live and this is how you do it, and then it's like I force you to like put yourself in a box, and it's not even like that.
That's why, like, when I see, you know, I feel like we worship different gods, because when I see in public, like whether it's Republicans or whether it's just people like the typical evangelical Christian who just believes in, you know, oh, we're going to care about abortions more than we care about, you know, kids that are actually here, you know, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we focus on that, I'm with them. Where when they're like, oh, Christ is this, and I'm like, okay, when you frame it like that, I'm with them. But that's not the Christ that I subscribe to. Yeah. Because that's not, I mean, he's a God of love. You know what I'm saying? He's not focused on trivial things that, you know, our poster boy like anthems and stuff like that. We don't serve the same God. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
When did we start nitpicking is really like I look at religion and I'm like, when did we start having this life where like the person who could read me a Bible that says, oh, Moses, King David, man after God's heart, and I can just open up the book and see the wild. Like, you know, it's right there. You open up the book, you see the wild. Like Moses literally like is hearing the words of the Heavenly Father and directly disobeying them and not getting into the promised land and still going straight to heaven the moment he dies. And I'm like, okay, so when you tell me, like, when you try to make me feel like the one sin I'm gonna commit is the thing that's gonna separate me from the heavenly host that will tell a man, you'll never see the thing that you're promised, but the moment you die, you're as good enough, you're good as in here.
But what's very interesting about that whole thing is like, we are not taught that, right? Like, we're not taught that even though you do sin. I mean, yeah, they say that. But like, we're really not conditioned to believe that even though we do sin, we still have a shot, right? It's like, no, you just don't sin. There is no other in between.
You know, it's not realistic. There's no humanity. Like, it's not realistic.
To you being a human, right? It's just you have to be. Why are you doing these things? You know you're not supposed to do these things. Yeah.
And I also, the God that I serve personally did not put me on this planet to just be like denying everything.
To be tempted so much. To
be tempted with this and tempted with that. I mean, okay, God created Italians, and that food is delicious, and I don't really care if it's gluttony. It's delicious. Like I'm so sorry. So the things that are like, oh well, that's a sin, so you shouldn't do that. That's a sin. I'm trying to figure out what was I put on this planet for if everything is a sin.
Everything's a sin. Everything's a devil. If it's not like in like literally devoutly and explicitly Christian and in a certain way, and then it bled out. Like it would be stuff that's like, okay, like Adventist people like, you know, are not like super big like caffeine drinkers, but that's not in the Bible. But like if I'm gonna try to drink something with caffeine in it before I turn 18, I'm gonna be having a somewhat biblical conversation. Not like a biblical conversation, but it's like the attitude of spirituality almost like encompasses parts of your life that are not even actually religious. You know what I mean? Like what you do in a lot of things, because of how like I feel like growing up, you're like almost in that. Well, I mean, it's the same thing, right? You'll drink the caffeine. It's like, well,
no, yeah,
that's like doing heroin.
Do what you do. Like, and it's like, okay, I mean, like I guess, or like, like, you know, little stuff that would, like, to me, just like, I just feel like not be fair to the practical, like, life of the way that, like, everyone lives. Like, we always went to church. We went to church with people who sometimes wouldn't be at church because they work on the Sabbath. And we'll really sit there and tell most of those, like, working class people, oh, you're, like, wild and working on the Sabbath. But then, like, someone who's a doctor, oh, you save lives. It's like, bro, when Sister Jenkins goes to work on Sabbath, the life she's saving is her own, brother. That's her job, G. Like, that's her job. Like, that's her job. We're not being real, because that's not what Jesus said. Like, that's not what Jesus said. But Jesus didn't say do that. Like,
my thing too with that specifically kind of thing is like, why are we not raising money so this
exactly.
doesn't have to work on Saturday?
Yeah.
If this is something that you really believe that she shouldn't be doing, give her the money that she would be making on that day.
But then I would feel bad, because I know all of that stuff. Like, we know so many of those Christian resources, unfortunately, come with like we're going to need you to do this Bible study. We're going to need you to sit through. We don't even care if it penetrates at this point. We're just simply gonna, like, make you sit in this room for 30 minutes. And it's like, how are we so divorced? They don't care. Like, you don't care.
They won't even feed the homeless without doing a Bible
Come on,
study.
you feel me? Like, come on, like,
I at least got to give you a pamphlet if you want this bread. You know what I'm saying?
Really,
you don't have
so
to
very
recite this verse.
It's like, come on, and it'll really. What's wild is you'll see it keep people away. Like, I've been at churches we're feeding the homeless, but I know there's stuff we're gonna have to do, and you'll see people like across the street, knowing they're not gonna eat today on Thanksgiving, but they're like, but I just don't want you to pray with me right now, bro. You don't know me right now. And that to me is like, why in a world where I'm saying spread the gospel to everyone, am I saying, because of your unwillingness to engage with this right now? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how I take the approach of, okay, we try to spread the gospel to the world, but if I'm not gonna be able to hang my hat on this person accepting some religion right now, I can't give them the thing that is the love that they need to accept it. And I just don't see how that could help. Like, and that to me was so tough, because it's like, in your own life, you're like, everything you do, that seems iffy. And then you're like, everything everyone else is doing, I'm kind of being taught gatekeep gatekeep the religion off that. Like,
to that point, imagine someone's first interaction with Christ being conditional.
Yeah.
Where I'm offering you Christ, but it's based on you committing to something that you're
not comfortable with. You're not comfortable, and you're not there yet. You're not there.
Comfortable, but you're also like not know anything about it.
Which immediately just ruins the character of Christ.
Exactly.
You're literally misrepresenting.
Yeah, I forced it on you. I forced it on you, and now it's like it's a big choice. Like, oh, am I good enough? Because we're all in the church feeling this immense guilt, doing the thing. Imagine someone who sits outside who doesn't feel like, oh, I don't live a devout life, quote unquote, or anything, but maybe I want to, but maybe I don't think I'm up to scratch. Like, people are gonna stay away based on feeling like they can't even genuinely commit to the thing that you're low-key just forcing on them under the guise of, I'm gonna do something in God's love, but like, the love is you're not gonna get this unless you give me this. Like, you know what I mean? And then, but I'm also not even really maybe gonna follow up. Like, I'm gonna pray with you today to make you get this meal, but that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is even really the exchange? Like, you forced me into a extremely uncomfortable religious situation just for one meal.
So that I can have something that I need.
For one meal, though.
Something that they need.
Not like I'm gonna feed you for 3 months, so maybe you might hear a couple prayers. No, you're gonna get this one meal in all these awkward moments, and that's really what it's gonna be.
And it's the same thing with a lot of these missionaries. It's self-righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's, you did what you needed to feel fulfilled for, and now your hands are clean.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
literally took pictures with black children.
That is how I grew up.
And then you'll feel bad. Like, you'll feel different.
My
like,
parents love to say, like, well, the Lord can't say I never told you. They can't say I never did teach you up in the way you should go. You know, like, they really be like, my hands are clean because I did my job. Like, and it's actually insane. And just the conditional state of it all. Like, I feel like our religion is very conditional. It's like, if you do these things, then you'll be an Adventist. And it's like, that's when you get our stamp of approval. And if not, like you said, we're looking at you sideways, like everything.
Like,
and I feel like that bled into my personal family life too. Like, I feel like my parents love is low key conditional, you know, because it's like if I'm not the perfect child, but then you're not gonna love me. That's insane. I feel like that is toxic.
Yeah.
Like from
or
everything down.
Because you feel like it's ingrained. I feel like it's in their heart to feel like my love for you. I have this great love for you that has to do with you being this person. Like it's impossible for me as an Adventist person to love you that way. You're just not an Adventist person. Like, you know what I mean? You're not the Adventist person that I'm hoping for you to be right now. So I'm loving you less in that way, which is like feels more justifiable to the people involved, but is wild. Like you said, I do feel like, like so much of the love in the church for a church whose savior and patron saint is like the greatest commandment is love. Where is the love? Like it feels like sometimes it's hard to feel the love, or it's like performative. We are at Forest Lake and we'll talk every week about who is Jesus to you, but like we're not having a real conversation about the like community of things. It's like, oh yeah, like when you were like a little bit nice to me last week, you were Jesus to me, which is like, it's real, but it like almost builds up this superficial level of like, can I give you these niceties that make you feel like you need to say to me like, oh, you did this, or like, can I do these things that I feel like will make people say, well, oh yeah, like you did this for me. And it's like, those things don't even really be love. Like they don't even really be feeling like love, or they don't get the, you almost don't get the love, like in the sense that it's like, I love the idea of like, who is Jesus to you, but like that real church member who's like really your family member, it's cool to like understand that's Christ love, that's Christian love, and just give that person credit. Like, yeah, like you are a good Christian family member to me this week. You know what I mean? Like you were good to me this week on that note, and let it affirm you. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's also so hard to me about my spiritual upbringing.
And on like what they were touching on, to me, it's like a lot of parental figures. You didn't do your best to love your child. You did your best to make them who you wanted them to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was more about, I trained you the way I think you needed to go based on my perception of God. Versus the unconditional love that he teaches us to have. Right? It's different. It's a different thing.
But then it feels weird too, because then they'll also,
I cannot relate.
The parents will be like, you know, they'll get a little candid with you in moments, and then it's like, well, you don't even really, you'll find out your devout Adventist parents, not that they're not devout, but literally that they will have necessarily had their version of these same conflicts with their parents over their non-devout lives, or quote unquote whatever. And it's like, so you got to do to a degree whatever you wanted to do. Like you at a certain point have like broken off, and now you're trying to.
The other day he's like, I've been a young guy at one time. He's like, don't comment on nothing.
You're not, but you're not giving me that same space, like, or even not giving me that same space. You're not recognizing the thing you're literally talking to me about right now, about not getting the space, and how that affected you then, and how you dealt with it down the road. And then I'm like, but that same space that you're not giving, you know what I'm saying? Like you've dealt with however you could deal with whatever situation, you've moved past it, and now you've placed me back right where you were. Like for better or worse, you're like, yeah, well, I mean, that's the way you do it.
That's the dilemma.
That's the way you do it. Like, you know what I mean? That's the way you do it. And it is like very much like you said, Danielle, like I don't have all Adventist family. Like my mother's side is not all Adventist, and like one of my mom's parents was Adventist and one literally never was. So most of like her brothers and sisters are not all devout Adventists. So to me, like my relationship with the people in my family that it don't got to do with religion, because they're either just not devoutly Adventist, like they just never really grew up like devoutly Adventist. They maybe go to church sometimes, but not sometimes. They do other stuff, blah, 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 whatever, or just aren't Adventist at all. We could have like easily what I feel like more like genuine, like build up a more genuine loving relationship, because it's not like this thing where like low key the moment you've accepted me as your family member, but you are watching my sins. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're watching, you're low key clocking me. Like, you know what I mean? You've all decided to clock like, okay, young cousin, like all the cousins, all the whatever, you know what I mean? You're all watching. And it's like, But how is that helping? Like,
that was so.
How was that helping?
Growing up, because we were the one little Adventist family. Oh my gosh! Every single cousin, everybody was looking at us. You gotta break it down. I know.
We all dressing up for church, leaving the house. No one else is leaving. Like on Saturday morning, I'm like, this is so wild. Like, like I'm about to leave out of these people's house. They're all chilling. Yeah. And it's not even the act of it, because I feel like it's not the act of it, but it is that love thing. I feel like is so, I don't know. I can't say, but I think in our collective upbringings, in a lot of Adventist people, I feel like that love question comes up. Like it rears its ugly head in that sort of way. It feels that way because honestly, I could even give to the point that maybe in their hearts, they truly love us exactly the same. But something about what they practice in their religion forces them to interact with me in a way that, bro, you are not loving me the same right now. Like, you're treating me wild. And if you think this is the same love, it's not.
It's not.
It is not the same love.
Like the clearest depiction I had of that was this girl. She was like maybe 18. I think she was still in high school. She came down to our church because she had got banned from her church because she was pregnant.
Oh man.
And it was a whole thing.
You get excommunicated
you from the church if you get pregnant, like girl, out of wedlock. You will get excommunicated. It's a real thing. We would have real conversations about it in the car. That's what I'm saying. Everything. We would talk about people. Okay? and that's why I'm so anti-gossip now, because I just don't.
It hurts. Yeah, it feels different. It hurts.
It's so hurtful. And then people smile.
Someone got your whole moral story on
tip. So wild to me.
Wow.
So even things like that. Like I remember us throwing her baby shower, but my mom was like, she's not a member because she's
excommunicated. I mean, when you really think about excommunicated though, like
it's so extreme.
Extreme.
That and with the divorce and things like that, like they used to take it very serious. I think now, people are a little bit more lenient because everybody getting divorced, but it's before then, I'm like, y'all really are not gonna allow this young lady to come into the church because she's pregnant.
18.
She needs support.
She needed support. And they did, they did her little baby shower, whatever, but it was so backhanded. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just so, like you said, disingenuous. It just was not feeling it wasn't coming from a place of love. And that was just such a clear depiction from early. I'm like, oh my gosh, here you guys are doing this to this poor young girl. Like, I could never do anything bad. Like, excommunicate me from church, my family, my life, my whole everything. Like,
I remember. I can't name no names. I'm not because I have to do a lot to make sure I'm not gonna even get too much into detail, because this is the type of thing Adventist people will maybe know what this is, who this person is. You know what I mean? But there was a person, and I saw it, and I won't say when, and I won't say who they were or what gender which person of who. But somebody's parent was in the front of the church doing the baby blessing for their child and the other person, not together, not married.
Oh, no.
Why did this person decide to start literally talking about how I always taught my child to not do this, to flee from fornication and stuff. It's like, sir, these people's families are right here, bro. These are children. Yeah. These are 18, 19 Why now in front of the entire church are you gonna embarrass them?
It's
when you're blessing them though, in the moment that you're blessing them.
There's a baby, it doesn't really matter. There's a new life. Let's bless
and you are blessing them. You are literally doing the thing, right? You're blessing them, inviting the entire church family to make them a part of their family and church community, and you're literally embarrassing them right straight out in front. Even my parents, my parents aren't super conservative. They were oh my goodness, I can't even believe, I can't even, a lot of people at the church were like, oh my goodness, because it's but that's the thing, that's in your heart, you're I can't be a good parent to you if I'm not going to chastise you in this moment, or maybe it's, I'll appear soft on this thing if I come up here, I bless you, and I don't chastise you for the clear sin you've committed, but you are that person's parent, and the gentle thing to do would have been to do that privately and just show your child love, bro. Like,
Yeah.
well, none of us need to know that you.
No.
We all know, bro. We're all Adventists. We know what you taught your child. G. Like, we know what you taught your child. We all know in this church what you taught your child. We're not confused. We don't think you taught your child nothing else. They're not confused. That's just hurtful.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, that's the I gotta chastise you to show you I love you to bring you back in this hard way or whatever. I don't know.
No, that's actually really real. And honestly, like, there's just been so many moments of that I think that I've experienced in growing up.
It's that love, like.
And it just has really, it's shaped my thoughts, I think. And so, I don't know, I'm in a phase of just doing a lot of unlearning and relearning.
Yeah.
And,
Especially because like a lot of these people that are casting judgment could have happened to them. It literally could have happened to them too. It just didn't play out that way.
It just didn't.
So that's why I really need to be trying is the operative word here. Trying not to judge people. Because it's like, that could be me. Like, you just never know. You're talking about that could never
Every
be me.
one of us could have been unlucky or whatever the case may be.
Like, whatever the situation
whatever
is.
it is, like it could have gone a different way.
And I feel like the responsibility of a true Christian in those moments is really to extend empathy and love.
Yeah.
And that's really just not.
I find it so interesting how we all can come to that conclusion, but it's like they can't.
Yeah, well, because we've left.
And I feel like personally for me, what it is really is that like I'm not living a life where I'm like there's no when I'm at the church and my life as like a pastor's child really informs this heavily. Mm-hmm. People treat me different. They've been treating me different. Like there's the saint stuff, but like first off, number one, my name has been young pastor since I was like 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like some people who go to like will literally go to church with me, who will speak to me every week, may not in fact have my name committed to memory because it is in fact young pastor every time, and not in the sense of like, oh, it's cute, you're the pastor's son, but in the sense of like having conversations about my actions, like in all regards. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? If somebody catches, if we're being mischievous or whatever, oh, like I get caught out, like, oh man, that's crazy. Pastor's son, you running around in the church on Saturday, that's crazy. Like, that's why you didn't bring your Bible to Sabbath school? Like, you, the pastor's son. Like, let's stop Sabbath school. Yeah. Legit, I'm not kidding with you. On multiple occasions, let's stop Sabbath school. You don't have your Bible with you? Yeah. It's not in the car. You don't have any Bible with you. Because that's why.
Because to them, if you're not on point, we're all doomed.
And I'm like, bro, you realize that I am the 10-year-old son of a minister. I am not a minister. And my father forgets his Bible sometimes. Like, you guys are being insane. Yes. I don't need to have a Bible for this Sabbath school to go on. But it's like that thing. So for me, I learned early, like, there's no way that you're surviving in this stuff. Bro, like, I'll be on the way home just having to, like, just talk through how I'm getting treated with my mom. Like, yo, mom, they're really wild out on me this week. Like, they really are, like, pulling me aside to say, like, hey, like, why are you, like, wearing shorts to AY? Like, that's, like, not inappropriate for you to wear shorts to AY. As an 11-year-old boy in the middle of the summer in Florida, why would you not be wearing pants to AY? What? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, people that, but in their head, maybe to them, they're, or not, like, whatever reason, like, ill will, not ill will, like, you just come into contact with that. So it's like, to me, I always knew, like, if any of these people are interacting with other people, even remotely like this, like, there's just no way, like, this is doing the exact opposite of what I want you to do is show me love right now. Yeah. So, like, if I keep feeling like this love thing is coming up, even if you guys are messing it up, for me, I'm getting the lesson. Like, you're giving me the lesson that love is important, that love, like, you're reiterating to me the thing I see in the Bible, the thing I see in my just moral studies. I see it because you guys are maybe doing it the wrong way or doing it a terrible way, but I get it. Like, I get it because I know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like it's not love here, and I feel like I'm seeing it. Like, you not showing me love, you not showing the man down the street love, you not showing the brother two pews up love. It's a lot of not love here, so yeah, like, maybe the love will do something. Like, it'll at least keep you coming back. It'll make you want to do this, make you want to do that. Like, the good things that Christianity actually wants, those are things people do out of love. They ain't going to do it no other way. Like, you know, like I just feel like they won't do it. Like you can't get that out of people without love. Like,
yeah. So I'm gonna ask one last question because we do have reservations. At 9. So what I do want to know is, like, with all of that being said, do you feel like your spirituality is in a positive place for you personally? Like your personal relationship with God or whoever you believe in, or like, with all of that being said, like, would you say that it's in a positive place, a negative place, a gray area? Like,
I'm gonna say yes, because I think I reached a place where I really learned to prioritize my personal relationship with God, with Christ, you know, rather than being part of a club, religion, or something that has ideas that I don't fully subscribe to. Because I think at the end of the day, what's important is your personal relationship with Him. And what that means can take a different path every day. You know what I mean? I think that's the beauty of what God is. I think He's so much bigger than religion gives Him credit for. Like we talked about at the beginning, it kind of boxes Him in. So I'd say it is in a good place because of me learning the right way to look at God.
How'd you learn that?
I'm like, this is very...
Like from yourself, from your own studies?
Trial and error, maybe. Something like that. And just like learning, like even like meditation we were taught was negative as children, but to me that's just quieting the noise and learning. I was always like I like to write, so quieting everything around me and just allowing things to really, you know, come to me, and just opening myself up to God, to everything around me, helped me reach a lot of conclusions that just were not in my peripheral before.
So I feel about yoga.
Word.
It was very like, I don't know, just don't do that. But I really feel so centered. I really feel like so in touch with myself and like a higher plan, to be honest with you. But like,
that's real.
Elliot, what would you say?
I would definitely say yes. I would definitely say I am in a good place with my spiritual walk, because like Rem said, it is very much like personal to me. Even doing this podcast, I do not like do a lot of talking about how I feel about spiritual things, because it's not all like, in a lot of different conversations, it's not really always important how I specifically, you know what I mean, feel about something spiritually. If someone else is going through something spiritually, maybe if I have an experience or I have a this or that to help you, but sometimes it's what you have going on spiritually that is important. And it's just like being able to know my personal relationship and know how much sometimes I just need to maybe be heard or need to get something out or this, that, the third, and just kind of like being able to feel like I can breathe and navigate it. That to me is, I couldn't ask to just, I know what my religious will be forever, or I know every facet of it. It's just like, okay, do I feel like I can breathe and learn and just try to make this thing work and try to understand it better and grow and do what I feel is right and like do what I think makes sense and show love, show God's love, you know?
Okay.
This man.
And the question was, what exactly?
It was, do you feel like your spiritual journey, like, with all that being said, all the conversation that we've just had, do you feel like it's in a positive place? More positive than, you know, from before?
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
No, I think it's definitely in a more positive place. I think it's still in a place of discovery, but
for sure.
For me specifically, I know that God has got me. And that phrase alone has brought me so much peace and literally has brought me through some days. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that is positive, you know, knowing that God's got me. I think for myself personally, I have always struggled with faith. And so for me to get to this place where I just know that I'm going to be okay because of God, like, that's big. So. We win with that, right? Like, we win with that. So.
I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for letting me con you into being on my podcast.
It was a real
it was a really, because you did, like I said yesterday, like, so come over, we're recording, like, be on the pod. Do you guys want to shout out your socials or anything? Like, let the people know where they can find you. If not, that's also okay.
I think, you know, we're gonna leave it to you, girl. This is the at the
podcast. You can put you can tag me, you can put the link, you know, maybe. It's not really necessary for me to say.
Y'all are different.
You're not gonna see any religion. Like, if you disingenuous to plug it, you're not gonna see these tweets.
People got things going on, you know.
You know what I mean?
Nah, you can follow me at Danny Does This.
I know that's right. Danny does this, right? Yeah, period. Because she be with the workout routines. Like,
straight up.
Exactly. Ram, do you want to?
I mean, you could tag me.
Yeah, like I said, you know, like.
Heard you, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Jordan, thank you for having us.
Thank
you.
Yeah,
It was a
this
really
was a
good
pleasure.
time. You're a great host.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't be nice to me. It makes me uncomfortable. So you can find me at Black Spirituality Pod on Instagram for updates about the show. And by updates about the show, I literally mean like I've posted a new episode. My personal Instagram currently is Jordan Takes Space. And yeah, that's been this episode of the pod. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.